The Room of Requirements in Hogwarts Legacy is one of the coolest and most unique features of the game, allowing you to have your own base of sorts within the Hogwarts castle. Now, you do unlock this by playing through the main story mission. At a certain point it will become unlocked. And this video is going to discuss some of the features that you need to not miss out on during the game to really help you with your progression. So if you don't want spoilers of things to come, maybe save this video for a later point, but if you are okay with that, let's jump into it. So as you can see from my Room of Requirements here, I've got a few interesting features. Now, some of these are pretty much set out to you. For example, the Enchanted Loom, you get this pretty early on when you get the Room of Requirements. It's told to you what it is, along with, of course, this bad boy over here, which is the Gear Identifier. Now, a lot of you will probably have some stuff down in your Room of Requirements, such as an area for growing a plant, and maybe a potions table for creating an individual potion, but what you might not know is that you can get upgraded versions of these stations. So for example, this one here brews 2 potions, so you can do 2 simultaneously. And these plants right here, where you can have 3 plants on them. And as you can see, every time you've got a plant in there, you simply harvest it every 10 in-game minutes. And you can reap the rewards of 5 each of what each plant yields. Now, as well as looking very, very cool and having things like the rain overhead with the plants, these are going to be super useful for crafting your potions, so you can then combine these with, of course, the potion station and craft any of the ones that you might need, along with combining some of the materials that you will find out and about around the world. For example, leech juice and spider fang. That one is stuff that you're going to find around the world, but if we look at, for example, the Wiggenweld potion here, you're going to need Hawklump juice and Dittany leaves. So Hawklump juice you're going to find around the world, and Dittany leaves is something that you can grow here in your Room of Requirements. Now, a couple of things that you can get once you progress a little bit further into the story, and these are going to save you a lot of time. They're also going to give you some really good rewards. First things first, we're going to look at the hopping pots here. Now, as you can see, these are kind of little pots that are on feet, and they hop around, literally a hopping pot, but of course it means like a brewing pot. And as you can see, these give you random potions. So we can go ahead and pick up this Edurus potion here. And you can see every 12 minutes, these are going to give you a new potion. Now, I can't pick up the Wiggenweld one right now because I have max Wiggenweld potions in my inventory. But if I ever need one, I know that I've got one there. And this one is giving me a Maxima potion. Now, the one caveat to these is that you can't actually choose what they brew. It will be a random potion, but especially earlier on in the game when you might not have the materials for some of the higher end potions, like for example the Invisibility potion or the Thunder Brew potion. As you can see, I have 3 of those and 5 of the Thunder Brews, and this is actually mainly from these hopping pots. So these are really, really useful, and as soon as you unlock the ability to conjure these, I would certainly recommend placing them down. Now, another thing to note is that you can place 3 of these, so getting all 3 down as soon as you have enough Moonstone is going to be a really, really valuable asset to your Room of Requirements. Where you'll be able to find these once you do have the Conjurations spell is actually in your Conjuration menu. You then go into Potions and you go down to the little hopping pot here. Now, if you hover over it, it tells you how much Moonstone they cost, but it also tells you how many hopping pot budgets you have. And as you can see, I have my 3 out of 3 already laid down. Now, the next thing that I'm going to talk to you guys about here is the chopping tables. These are super good as they, again, similarly to the hopping pots, will give you a random flower or potion ingredient, something herbology-wise, every 9 minutes. Now, these are really, really good because, again, it means you don't have to have every plant planted, but again, with the caveat, you can't actually choose what they get. I've only got 2 of these down currently in this room, but I do have another room which I'll show you guys in a moment with an extra one. So again, you can do 3 of these, and these are super good to get down as early as possible because it might mean they give you some of the ingredients you need for some of your potions, whether it's stuff that you just want, like for example the health pots, or whether it's something that you might need for an assignment. These are going to be super useful. Now, of course, you can choose specific plants to grow, like I showed you guys there, and these are the larger ones, so I've got a Venomous Tentacular, and of course a Fluxweed stem here. These take 15 minutes, as these are the large pots. The smaller pots take 10 minutes, and then you can also get medium ones. But one thing that I didn't learn until later on in the game, which I wish I'd known from the beginning, is actually if you're going to invest in getting an upgraded table, like, for example, one with multiple pots in, as opposed to just the one that you start off with, I would recommend going for the large, or at least the medium-sized pots, because you are able to plant any of the plants in those. So for example, in a medium you can plant medium or small plants, and in the large ones you can plant large, medium or small plants. Now, the large ones are a little bit more expensive in the shop, but for that reason they are highly worth it, and again you can craft several of these. If we go into the Conjuration menu and look at the Herbology section, you can see that if we hover over these, you'll be able to switch between small, medium and large pots on the little drop down menu here, and you can see that I have 5 out of 7 conjured right now, so I could even have a couple more. And one thing to note is I have the one with 2 large pots, but there is a slightly cheaper version with 1 large pot on, should you be struggling for money. And then the other ones that I would recommend getting are, of course, the medium pots, which you can actually get a maximum of 3 on, so that is going to be super useful if you get in a couple of big ones and a couple of medium ones. Like I said, you can grow the small plants in those ones as well, so it's going to be really worthwhile getting early on. When I'm editing this video, it is just worth mentioning as well, though, with the planting pots in the room of requirement, you can get a planter for small pots, which has 5 pots in 1 station. So of course you can only have a maximum of 7 stations, so actually it might be worth having 1 or 2 of those in order to grow the smaller plants, because you're able to get more pots in 1 station, in essence having availability for more plants if you do plant the plants in the corresponding size. So small plants in small planters, medium in medium, and large in large. But like I said, towards the start of the game, if you're struggling for money and you haven't yet had the chance to optimize this, then the large or medium ones can also be used to plant the smaller versions of those plants too. Now the other automated thing which I haven't shown you guys yet is this right here. These are fertilizer producers. In your Conjuration menu, it will be under the herbology section, and you can see here, if we go down here to the Composters, these cost 10 Moonstone, and you can make 3 of these, like the chopping tables and like the hopping pots. These every 4 minutes will give you fertilizer, and these can be used on any of your plants. If you go into the inspect menu, you can put a fertilizer on it, and it says a nutrient rich compost that can be added to plants to increase their yield. So particularly useful for the big plants. You can see here the yield will be 1. If I add a fertilizer, it doubles it, so that's super useful. If we go over to something like, let's say, the mallow sweet here, which of course you need for the Merlin's Trails, the yield for these is 5, but if I put a fertilizer on, it increases that yield to 6. So it's not amazing. For the lower end ones, it's only giving you 1 extra, and of course it is for the larger ones, but the larger ones getting 1 extra is actually doubling. So I would recommend using it on the large plants if you are going to do this. And again, get 3 of these down as soon as you have enough Moonstone, as they are going to be super useful. Now, as you can see down here, I've got a few more plants just planted into these large boxes at either side, and then we also have some fertilizer in the middle, as well as a chopping table. So all of this will be going on whilst I'm playing the game, and every time I check back into the room of requirements, I've got a nice little automated setup just to get me some stuff that I might need for potion crafting, and also some fertilizer to make me get extra yield from these plants. Now, of course, you can find Moonstone all around the map. It is the blue crystals that once you destroy them with a basic cast, you will get given some Moonstone into your inventory. But you can also use Evanesco, which is a spell you learn from the Room of Requirement introductory quest, which vanishes items and returns Moonstone when cast within the Room of Requirements. Now, this is a super good spell, and it can be used on all of these decorations that you get. A lot of these are just put into the room right at the start when you get opened up to new sections. Some of them, like the big hippogriff statue here, which I've actually placed myself, I can still do it with that, but I can also do it with the stuff that automatically comes with the room, which is a really nice way to get some Moonstone to get down some production tables if you haven't yet maxed out those. Now, if you are wondering where you can actually get some additional conjuration spells from, if some of the stuff you're seeing in this video you don't yet have unlocked, like I said, some of it will require additional progress in the story and side missions, but once you do have them unlocked, you of course come to Tomes and Scrolls here in Hogsmeade Village, which is right in the bottom middle of the village, and you go inside and interact with the shopkeeper here. Now, this will show you all the things that you can get, and one really crucial thing that you might not have unlocked is the Material Refiner Spellcraft. Now, this is a really good production station, and it says use it to produce Moonstone, essential for additional conjuration spellcrafts. So I'm going to show you guys what this one does in the Room of Requirements right now. So you'll find it under Utility, and you are able to obviously get the 4 different designs, which are Gothic, Electric, Botanical, and Scientific. These aesthetics are available for most of the items in your Room of Requirements, so you can choose to kind of colour coordinate them or style coordinate them if you want to. So what you would do with this item is, again, place it down. You can put up to 3 of these in, so we're going to put 2 over here, and I'll go ahead and throw another one down here, and you'll be able to see then that these actually produce every 10 minutes a certain amount of Moonstone. Now, these are going to cost 15 Moonstone each to place down, but again, you can place up to 3 of these. So what I would highly recommend doing is, as soon as you unlock these, do save up 45 Moonstone by going around and collecting it from the world, or maybe dissolving some of the other things that you have in your Room of Requirements, placing these down, and then allowing yourself to get passive Moonstone every 10 minutes from each of these stations, as this is going to save you a lot of time and effort, and is going to mean that you can decorate your room of requirement, put down all of the production stations that you want to, and you're not going to be as restricted as you might otherwise have been without as much Moonstone. Another really important thing with the room of requirements is the altering spell. Of course, this one is used to change the size and position of objects within the room. This is particularly useful when additional sections of the room start to open up. I did have this desk, for example, in the middle of the room, which was against the wall, and then this whole section opened up, so I had to move it back. One thing to note that could be really useful here is to actually use your aim. Right click if you're on mouse and keyboard, or it'll be one of your triggers if you're on the consoles. But if you zoom in and actually aim at the object you want, it actually makes it a lot easier to pick up that specific object rather than accidentally getting something like the entire floor here. So that's a really good tip that I should have learned a little bit sooner. Now do bear in mind as well, you can change the size of these objects, so you can make things very large or very small depending on what you want the aesthetic to look like and how you want to set out your room of requirement in terms of decorations. Now of course, finally, to finish off this video, we do also have the vivariums, but this is something that I'm going to cover in a later video specifically here on the channel, as I have done quite a lot of progress with those individually, and I think it warrants its own video because there's a lot of cool things that you can find within those and use them for. So if you are interested in that, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on that one. Other than that, hopefully you have found this video useful. Hopefully it gives you some heads up or some pointers of things that you want to get early on, or as soon as you are able to, into your room of requirements. Particularly the automatic production stuff is very, very useful, and it's just something you can have all the time going in the room of requirements whilst you're playing Hogwarts Legacy. So every time you come back, you've got some cool things to collect. And again, I really like these hopping pots because, as you can see already, I've got another focus pot I can claim from this one, and right over here we've got another Wigan Weld. So you can see that these are constantly producing potions for me, and also the chopping tables have more stuff ready for me to grab as well. So it's super, super cool that you can just get a ton of this stuff all the time from your room of requirements while you're playing. So hopefully these are some things that you can take advantage of early in the game. If this video has helped you, be sure to drop me a like down below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Hogwarts Legacy content, and I will catch you guys again very, very shortly in a brand new video. Take care and peace.